Hi, and thank you for stopping by. I had a question about a particular subject that I thought would be kind of interesting to talk about. The store closing in Seattle, known as Macy's. I'm going to give you a little insight into why it closed and also some insight into what it was and how it began. And it wasn't always Macy's, especially in the spot where it was located at now. It was another store. But I'm going to give you a little insight into why the store closed. Retail scene in downtown. Seattle reflects a harsh reality, and it's not just Macy's, which is true. There's a lot of other stores that are no longer relevant. They were for a time. You'd go into the store, you'd shop, but now most of your up and comers, as I call them, they're the kids that are getting out of high school, going to college, that are working all the time. They don't really have time to go to a store. They just order it online and have it sent to their house. You can order clothes online. You can order just about anything online through Amazon. Walmart even offers a way to shop and have stuff sent to your house. Target, I think, does that too, where you can order and it'll be sent to your house. So there's an awful lot of stores that have been closing down, but right now I want to deal specifically with Macy's, because in Seattle, Macy's has a very rich history, and not just Seattle, New York, Minneapolis, Minnesota, a lot of major cities had a Macy's. It says here, around 100 bare mannequins clumped together behind the 40% discount handbags and below signs that shout the entire store is on sale and everything must go. This is the downtown Seattle's Macy's department store, a month before it shuts the door on nearly a century of operating in the landmark location at Pine Street between 4th and 3rd Avenues. It's the latest sign of the changing brick and mortar retail landscape in a shifting shopping market. And what they mean by that is that the market is shifting from stores, brick and mortar stores that you can walk into and look on and try on clothes and, check things out. Me personally, I don't like to buy clothes over the internet because I have to be able to test the drape and feel the material and make sure it's going to fit properly before I buy it. Because if you buy something over the internet and it doesn't fit properly, you have to send it back. For one, you have to send it back. And then you take a chance on whether or not you're going to have enough, you're going to get your money back. It's just a big headache. It says here, the lower 3 stores of the building, which recently sold to an Amazon landlord for $68.7 million, will close at the end of February. Sales up to 60% off began in January. Pine Street itself is looking a little bare. On the corner of 6th Avenue, the bankrupt Forever 21 building sits empty. Across the street, Pacific Place retailers are closed or closing to make way for a reimagined look of the mall. Among the closures, the 2-story Barnes & Noble on the corner of 7th Avenue closed over the weekend after 22 years in operation. On the same block, J. Crew prepares to close next month after more than 20 years. J. Crew staff said that the 2 closures are to make room for a food court in the mall. So apparently they're making a huge mall. They're going to make a big food court there. I know they had the Westlake Shopping Center, and I don't know if they consider that the mall. I will have to look into this, and I'll tell you, there's some things that's going on in Seattle that I'm unaware of. And there's a gentleman that's been writing to me on my videos, and he's been posting comments and giving me a little heads up on stuff, which I got to do some more serious digging. I've been dealing with the homeless problem. I've been dealing with the high cost of living. I've been dealing with Amazon and things of that nature, but I have not been dealing with the things that made Seattle, Seattle. Now, in this video, you will see from time to time photos of Seattle throughout its different stores throughout its history in Seattle. Now it says here the Macy's NYSE:(M) closure, which was announced in September, is another sign of the struggling retail business in a market reshaped by Amazon. Coincidentally, the online retailer has operated the office space on the upper floors of the Macy's building for several years now. The Macy's flagship store, littered with discounted tags and bright signs on every beam, saw a steady stream of customers Wednesday afternoon. Empty shelves of jewelry and jewelry cases are signs of the everything must go mantra. Even mannequins' hands priced at $5 each. Well, what's the world coming to when you can go into a store and buy a mannequin's hands for $5? What's the mannequin going to do without any hands? How's it going to eat? How's it going to open up the door to use the bathroom, for God's sake? Nearly 240 employees will lose their jobs when the doors finally close the last week of February. Now, that's a lot of jobs for people that need jobs. Seattle talks about not having jobs and needing to fulfill their jobs. And you got about 240 people that are going to lose their job, or if they haven't already lost it permanently now, once the sale gets completed and the business gets totally shut down. Now, I explained to you a little bit about why the retailer is closing in Seattle. Now I'm going to give you a little bit of a history. So this video may be a little bit long. I'll try to keep it as short as possible, but I want to give you a little bit of history into the Macy's building, the block that it sat on, because it wasn't always Macy's. It has a very rich French history. And what I say by that is, has anybody ever heard of a building known as the Bon Marche? The Bon Marche, whose French name translates to the good market or the good deal, was a department store chain launched in Seattle, Washington, in the United States in 1890 by Edward Nordhoff. The name was influenced by Le Bon Marche, the noted Parisian retailer. Now, Edward Nordhoff, I'm wondering if he started Nordstrom's or the Nordstrom Rack. When I worked there, it was called the Nord Rack. It was like off Nordstrom's. Yes. The Bon Marche industry was retail. Fate merged with Macy's, which is important. Founded 1890 in Seattle, defunct 2005. Headquarters, Seattle, Washington, U.S. That's where its headquarters is at. Products, clothing, footwear, bedding, furniture, jewelry, beauty products, housewares, and so on and so forth. Parent company was the Federated Department Stores. That's who owned the Bon Marche. And the Bon Marche, I remember the Bon Marche when I lived in Seattle. The Bon Marche was there. It was located in downtown Seattle. In 1929, the Bon Marche was acquired by Han Department Stores. Itself folded into Allied Stores a few years later. A solid middle-range store, the Bon Marche served largely working-class Seattle. Branches were also added in several northwestern cities. Among them were Spokane, Tacoma, Yakima, Kennewick, Longview, Walla Walla, Olympia, and Bellingham, Washington. Missoula, Montana. Great Falls, Montana. Idaho Falls, Idaho. Pocatello, Idaho, and Boise, Idaho, commonly known to customers as the Bon. The company dropped the Marche from their name in the late 1970s before reinstating it by the mid-1980s. I personally like Bon Marche. I think it's a very nice name, and it conjures up Paris. Yeah, everything about it, Paris. You think Bon Marche. You think Paris. An American in Paris. My favorite movie, by the way. Gene Kelly was in that movie, and oh my Lord. I could watch that thing over and over again.